Morning, everyone. We'll get things started. We would like to welcome Jordan Spieth to the Charles Schwab Challenge. Jordan, making your 12th start here. We're going to start off with some comments, what it's like to be back for a hometown event.
Yeah, it's 12th start here, but really the first start in the new Colonial era. So I saw the course yesterday, 9 holes, and then plan on playing 9, weather permitting, today. I think Gil did a really, really good job from what I can tell playing it once. I think it's tough. I imagine it's tough for a course designer to bring a course back in time, but accommodating the modern game, making it maybe more playable for an average member 51 weeks of the year, but still a championship golf course, making it as or more difficult for us. And I guess time will tell over the next 4 days, but it really seems like he's somehow done that. And that's really cool. I was, a great golf course like Colonial that's got a great reputation for, 70 plus years. It's easy to come in saying, what in the world are we going to do here? And then I've heard good reviews from the members I've talked to ahead of time, and then from the professionals so far. So I'm excited for the week and excited to see what this tournament brings going forward. And hopefully it has a good first showing and continues to get better and better.
Sticking with the course design, before you came in here, you were speaking with Gil. What did he have to share about the course, and did you have any feedback for him?
Well, he asked me a couple questions, and I just, as I do, seem to just go off on a rant, so I actually didn't ask him much, but a good rant. But pretty much what I said here, I was like, I think you did a great job, and some of the intricacies of some of the cool, pin locations that you had every single year, you knew exactly where it was going to be, but it still would fool you, even though the green's in a different location in space, right? They're lowered or they're moved or whatever. Some of these hole locations and the slopes on those greens have been maintained, 17 and 18 in particular, to have essentially the same putts that you're used to seeing, but it's a different green and a different hole altogether. And then you have a number of greens that are completely different and in a different place. So that mix was kind of cool to the nerd in me, to be able to still draw back on some putts that I've had in the past and some course knowledge, but there's, at the same time, you could throw it out the window on a lot of other holes.
Before we open up for questions, on quite a stretch here of golf, playing your 4th in a row, coming off PGA Championship last week. How are you feeling, especially that we're halfway through the season? I feel good. It's nice that I'm able to be in my own bed. This tournament's always actually felt like kind of an exhale from the Byron. Feels a little bit, to me, a little bit more busy. And then you stuff in either the Players back in the day or now the PGA Championship along with Quail Hollow. It's nice to have a week off after this. I've never had a week off after, so I can kind of feel like I can use up whatever's there and then take a few days off. And I'm looking to improve. I did a lot of good things the last couple of weeks and improving on some stuff I wanted to, and I still have some parts of the game that need some work, and hopefully knock that out today and into the beginning of this weekend. It gets better and better. Perfect. I'll open up the questions. We have Kevin here on the right.
Hey, Jordan. Did you play the front or the back?
I played the back yesterday.
What did you think of 13?
I told Gil, I said the only one that kind of stood out and wasn't like the others was 13. And as long as the right tee box is played, I think it's a fantastic par 3. But if it could also be the best hole in the course or the worst hole in the course, depending on where the tees are, given the hole locations and the wind. And it's not the way, the firmness of the greens. It's not really, doesn't seem to me to be able to yield holding 5 irons. But if it's a mid iron in, a good shot gets really rewarded. And then if you miss in the wrong spot, you can be in big trouble. You could have over 10 feet for par, even hitting a good chip. So it's a great risk reward par 3 from the right tee box now. It was probably the most shocked of any hole that I walked up to the green to that I saw yesterday.
Art on the left.
Hey, Jordan. One of the things that tour guys are really good at are goofing on each other, especially guys you've known for a long time. So I talked to some other North Texas pros. What have you been able to goof on Scotty any since last week, or what do you have planned for him coming up?
It's kind of, I would say, it's kind of sensitive to be. I wouldn't say it's necessarily. It's the saying. It's too soon. So yeah, maybe eventually if things all work out the right way.
Sticking on the left, we have MK in the back.
Hey, Jordan. Just with all the storylines of the tour, and then you see a winner like Xander last week winning his first major. Are there any results that you watch and you actually gain inspiration from other players?
I've been playing with Xander for better part of 7 years now, and if you asked me, is there any doubt in your mind that he'd win major championships? I'd say I don't know a weakness in his game, so it's just a matter of time, and so it's not surprising at all. Am I inspired? Yeah, I mean, one thing that he's been doing that's been different is he's looked to add speed, but did it like very methodically, very quietly, very in the dark. It's been amazing watching him go after tournament rounds, like on Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, and he'll go to the workout trailer and hit a heavy gym session after the round. And it's not common out here. Like, there's a few guys that'll do it, but it's still not common. Everybody goes before now. 10, 12 years ago, half the field went before. Now everybody does. But he's going after and hitting these heavy workouts with a goal in mind that he thought would gain a slight advantage over something. He already had a lot of speed, and he did it while maintaining his consistency in his short game, and it just allowed him to hit shorter clubs in the greens, maybe over the course of 4 rounds, being a shot or two. And the way he approached that patiently is extremely inspiring. I'm not a very patient person, and I think that's gotten me in trouble in a lot of times in my career as far as the process, like trusting the process and giving it time and not having to have results right away. And he didn't seem bothered by close calls. He had to answer a lot of questions regarding Sundays or whatever, and I remember having those for a year or two as well. And then, I was more patient back then because I was playing consistently better, so it was easier to be more patient. And once it goes your way, then you start thinking they're all going to go your way, and then they do. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is just the beginning.
Moving over to the right side, we have Mac.
Hey, thank you. Jordan, I had 2 questions for you. For someone who's followed your career for a long time, been familiar with you, I've always wanted to ask you this. Did you ever feel like you were a victim of your own success, that right out of the gate it created this expectation for you that you were Tiger, you were all these guys, and that's a very, very hard standard to maintain and almost unrealistic. Did you ever feel that way at all as you've gotten older?
Yeah, certainly. But I think the healthy way to do it is is that being of my own expectations, right? Mm-hmm. Not of anyone else's. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, once I know what I'm capable of, I want to obviously stay there. And if you fall from that even a little bit, it frustrates you. And then if you fall quite a bit from that, you can be wondering what in the world's going on, and it can overtake you. And it did for me for a little while. I think I have a better perspective now. But at the same time, the drive to get to where I know my ceiling is at has never been higher. And so every day that I'm not there, I still walk away. If I feel like I progressed towards it, I walk away really, really pleased with my day. But some days I feel like I didn't. And instead of being okay with that, back to this patient talk, I lose a little patience because I know what I am capable of, and not sustaining that every year, is something that I'm not okay with personally. And so, I think it's something that I wouldn't change anything that's ever happened to me. I've accomplished most all the goals that I had in golf, albeit, in a short period of time, but the nature of sustaining that is something that I'd like to have another opportunity at, and I'll continue to work towards.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was about just where kind of golf is, like pro golf is right now, and what you tell family and friends, and how you think this may ultimately shake out between Live and the tour, and what this might look like in, I don't know, the end of the year or next year or anything like that.
Well, I don't tell anyone anything that I'm not supposed to tell anyone. I think, and I said it last week, I think the narrative that things are in a bad place and are moving slowly, and some of the things that are asked to me or said are untrue. I think I know that it's false, actually, and things are actually moving positively from both sides. I think ultimately we'll end up in a place where professional golf is maybe the best that it's ever been. I think both sides believe that. And I think, although there's always frustrations, I think in deal making, and I'm not a part of the deal making, from what I do know, it's cordial. There's open dialogue. And it's moving along at the pace that it's moving along. And anything else that's said about it is I just know to be false. So I'm very optimistic, I think, is what I'd say out of all of it. And I think that's starting to resonate amongst players as they're able to get more and more information on the matter, and it will continue to get more and more information over the coming months.
Do we have any others? Perfect. With that, we'll go and conclude it. Jordan, or one final one? Oh.
So he asked, I had my choice of colleges as a junior golfer. What choices did I look at, and why did I choose Texas? I visited Stanford, UCLA, and USC. I went out to California a couple times, and I looked at those three schools, and then I had Oklahoma State and Texas. So I had 5 schools. 2 were close to home, and 3 were out in California. And there was a time, my parents would tell you, after each visit, I was so impressionable that I said I was going there and I want to call the coach and verbally commit to each one of the schools. Probably rightfully so. I was told to take a breather, let it sit, let's go through all the visits first. And ultimately, I knew the guys on the team at Texas. I knew that there was going to be All-Americans there the second I walked in the door, so I was going to be competing against the best in the country day to day. I knew them. I knew a lot of them going back, 5, 6, 7 years before that, which I think was important. And I loved Coach Fields. I loved that he'd take a bullet for his guys. I think I could say the same about all the coaches of the schools I visited. But ultimately, I also, when you grow up in Dallas and your parents didn't go to either OU, A&M, or Texas, you choose to pick one. And I was a Texas fan anyways, just because you have to pick one of the 3 from when I was really young, and I think that ultimately was a difference maker too. Yeah, very. Cody was the guy who I was saying I had known for 6 or 7 years prior to that. So Cody was the best junior golfer in the Dallas area growing up, and I caddied for him in a USAM qualifier at the club that I grew up at back when he was probably in high school and I was in grade school or something, maybe a freshman in high school. But he was a big factor. I mean, he was pressing. He and nonstop. He was reaching out. He was letting me know what it's like there. And on my unofficial visits, he was the one who made sure to spend time with me, and he got the rest of the guys to do so too. And he was a huge part of why I went to Texas.
Perfect. Thank you, Jordan. We will have Tom Hoagie to follow directly right now.